Hi, baby. Yes, sir. The one and only David Furones and the one and only Welt Rheaume. And right now, folks, if you are dealing with any water damage after Helene, please call Welt Rheaume. They have their own adjusters, and they will send the adjusters to your house. They will call the insurance companies for you. Remember, roof damage can start with even 40-mile-an-hour winds. So if you feel anything, you think there's something out of place or something like that, or you're seeing some brown spots in your roof, call Welt Rheaume. They'll send their inspectors over. They'll tell you if you're eligible to get a new roof, and they'll go after the insurance company for you and protect you and your home and your family. So make sure you call the great people at Welt Rheaume, 954-966-4646. All right. How you feeling, my man? You feeling good?
Yes, sir. Feeling good. Got a Monday night game coming up, and the Canes are playing tonight. So right here, I'm already here at in Miami Gardens at the Dolphins facility. So I might just swing on by.
Yep. By the way, I thought that the coach gave away the starter yesterday. He told you guys who the starter was.
In which answer was that? How'd you come away from with that?
Um, Let me ask you something. Where do you get a competitive edge?
Where do you get a competitive edge? Would be with the new guy.
People have already seen Tim Boyle. They saw him in Detroit. And as a Detroit scout told me 2 days ago, he says, "Oh, Tim Boyle can't do RPOs. So if McDaniel wants to do RPOs, he's going to have to go with Snoop. So at least he adds a running element." And the Detroit scout gave it away. He goes, "Boyle's pure pocket." And you saw with Skyler that he's more pure pocket. He's really not an RPO guy. And then that limits him as a coach. So the coach wants to use more of the RPO to kind of add that element. And then when he said yesterday, a competitive edge, bro, there's no competitive edge to starting Tannehill Thompson or Tim Boyle. No competitive edge. One's injured and bad, and the other one's just bad as it is. So nobody really knows Snoop that much, but he also can run. So when you say competitive edge, you just gave away who your starter is.
Yeah. Now, Tyler Huntley is my prediction for who it'll be based on kind of read of things, just piecing together what you see, what you hear from people, even though no one's trying to give it to you just straight like that. But I will say, actually, I misheard him because I did tweet out the competitive edge that he mentioned, but he was saying for a number of reasons, the last of which is a competitive edge. So I had to. So he is saying the last of which. So I had to sort of adjust how I wrote it in my article once I listened to the audio again. But even then, even if he's saying it's the last among his reasons, as a football coach, you want every competitive edge. So it's certainly on his mind to have a competitive edge with this quarterback mystery that the Dolphins are going into.
No, but there is no mystery if you're
right.
Tim
For us.
Boyle and Skylar. Tannehill Thompson. Neither one of those guys gives you I don't even think Snoop gives you a competitive edge, but at least the surprising part of it is a competitive edge because you don't have any tape of him in this offense and what they would do and what packages they would run and all that kind of stuff. So once he said competitive edge, I was like, okay, dude, you just told me who you started. That's it. It's over.
Yeah. Just the fact that competitive edge is something on his mind for sure, which of course it's going to be whenever you have anything that you could sort of withhold from an opponent that could be somewhat mysterious, even though we have a strong feeling that that's the way the Dolphins will indeed go.
All right. So this week we roasted poor Tannehill Thompson. But and some of it he might have deserved, but really most of it he doesn't, because it's really not his fault. He was around for 2+ years, and this coaching staff never saw this, and it's kind of sad. And so now I got to tell you something on my post game show. Whether if they win, great, obviously, but if they lose, and if Snoop or Tim Boyle play bad, I'm not going to hold it against those guys anymore. I'm not holding it against quarterbacks. I'm going to hold it against the coaching staffs. Because one, I don't think they actually do what's best for Tua as it is. And now I look at, you had Thompson around for 2+ years and this is what you did. I have a hard time believing that Snoop or Tim Boyle have any kind of advantage with Mike McDaniel and his staff preparing him. Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't go to those extremes because I think we have seen the best of Tua under this coaching staff. So I wouldn't say that they haven't done him right.
I'll say it's in spite of them. Just like when Tua went 7-3 his rookie year, in spite of no coaches and a coach hating you and not wanting you to succeed and setting you up to fail against the Rams and all that, you still went 7-3. I'm going to go with the same thing. I think Tua is successful in spite of McDaniel, in spite of Brian Flores. That's just me.
Yeah, but this coaching staff tailored the offense to his strengths, just about as effectively, efficiently as you can, basing it on timing, letting him get that quick releases, utilize his accuracy, his anticipation, being a point guard of the offense. So these are all things.
That sounds great. You just said a key word that buried you. You said efficiency. So is it efficient to let abandon the running game when it's working for your quarterback and your offensive line? Is it
No, of
efficient?
course, of course, those are things in games that.
Is it efficient that you can't win a challenge? Is it efficient that you is it efficient that you
These
can't
are different topics.
no, sir. No, sir. If you can't get a play in on time, that hurts your efficiency as a quarterback. You can't even change
That's a
the
key.
play. You can't even adjust, my man. If I pay $10 million, $11 million for a tight end and you can't use him, but somehow Brian Flores and no offense can get him 70 balls in 1 year, and now I'm watching him in Cincinnati and they're using him, but you can't use him, and now you signed Jonnu Smith and you can't use him either, that's a lack of efficiency. If you can't throw the ball more often to your running backs to make it easier for your quarterback, that's on you also. There's a lot of things that I can point at that Mike McDaniel does to his quarterbacks, including Tua Tagovailoa, that set them back. The fact that you didn't even know the down against Buffalo in a playoff game, does that help Skyler? Does that help your offense? No. No matter who the quarterback is, so far, Mike McDaniel has proven to me he is not their best asset all the time. You guys, and I'm saying you because you guys in general and fans and all that, you guys just think of the yards and the plays that the two receivers make, but you're not thinking of the big picture that really could make this offense go and be more. What we see in San Francisco, what we see in Green Bay, we're not seeing it here. The guy fell from the tree, but he really doesn't run the system that those guys are running. He's not as committed to the run as they are. He's not as committed to the tight end as they are. He's not as efficient and as effective as they are. So, there's a problem here, dude. Problem.
Yeah, those are all in-game things and overall offensive schematic standpoint things that could stand improving. But as far as a quarterback developing standpoint, then the Dolphins worked wonders with Tua, who was really just emotionally brought down by Brian Flores beforehand. So I can't go to the lengths of saying that this is a burden or an indictment on them for not developing quarterbacks, because they did do it with Tua. Now with Skyler, I'm sure, and yes, I went into this before the Seattle game. I was saying, listen, it's not going to be fair to judge him off of going into that hostile environment. Now I will adjust my opinion based on actually seeing it and the way that game went and just the overall operation of the offense, even in that hostile environment. But end of the day, yeah, he wasn't sticking to some of the coaching points that I'm sure he has had right, just nailed into him. He wasn't trusting what he saw out there. So I think he went into a game and sort of reverted back to just not trusting his coaching, not trusting what he's seeing. And he wasn't letting the ball rip and go into that read when he saw it open.
In Spanish, we say se amarillo.
Yeah.
Can you tell him what I just said in English? Se amarillo.
Yeah, or there's another term that's a little more vulgar. Yeah, that. But
he choked.
Estaba apendejado.
Yeah, apendejado. Yes.
Yeah, a little more vulgar.
He choked, bro. He choked. He was in that moment, and it was too big for him, and he absolutely choked in that moment. Unfortunately, bro. I mean, it's sad, but that's the case for the kid. And it's one of those deals. All right, so you look at this game, dude. This is like the must win of the season. It's not that your entire season lies on it, but this is you have the surprise element of Huntley. You're home, okay? You're playing the worst team in the league. This quarterback should not have beat you the first time, okay? If you don't win this game, it becomes really bleak because it's hard to think you're going to win any of the other games left until Tua gets back, and now you're going to put Tua in the offense in a hole, bro. That they're going to have to be near perfect when he gets back. That's crazy.
Exactly. And having to be near perfect once he's back against the schedule that you have the second half of the year, especially in December, for a team that already hasn't had a good record against winning teams, as we've known from the past, as we saw last year, 1-6 against winning teams and playoff teams, then that really puts you up against the ropes. So this team cannot afford to go 1-3 with a loss at home to Tennessee. You already pretty much lost the division when you couldn't win the home game against Buffalo, and Buffalo, the way they look early on, 3-0, you're already 1-2, and they have the tiebreaker over you. So we were always talking about you needed to get over the hump of Buffalo in the division, so you get a home playoff game instead of always going on the road as a 6 or 7 seed in the AFC. Well, now you're looking at that as the ceiling because you already lost that part of it in week 2 and now falling behind by 2 games. And then now if you get to 1-3 with a loss to a winless Tennessee team at home, again, like you did last year, even with a backup quarterback, then it all really snowballs very fast when you look at this schedule. I wrote about that early on this week that, this stretch right here, you need to pile up your wins. So it's difficult when you have to face these games without Tua, sort of evens that out a little bit when you chalked all these up as wins when you first looked at the schedule, but they are still must wins. Make no mistake about it. I don't care if you're missing your starting quarterback. You need to earn these victories now against the Titans, against the Patriots, against the Colts, against the Cardinals. 3-1 at worst. 2-2 is already iffy, and if you go 1-3 in these upcoming 4 and end up at 2-4 at the end of October, then pretty much forget about it.
Yeah, no. And how about 1-5?
Also a possibility. But
I mean,
but that would, but really, yeah, then you're just really done. You're just done.
But this is the most winnable game of them all. Like this is the
you
game
have to win at home against Tennessee. Yeah.
You have to win this game,
and they're only 1-point favorites.
Yeah, no, right. That tells you Vegas thinks that Tennessee's better. Okay, because you're supposed to get 3 at home.
Yeah.
So the fact that you're only giving 1 at home, that means they think that Tennessee's 2 points better right now. That's scary, and I think that's based really on the coaching, because and that's the other thing, dude. How do you explain all the penalties? How does this continue to happen under Mike McDaniel? All the mistakes, dude, whether it's pre-snap or others, but it's just it's constant, bro, and they're one of the worst again this year.
Yeah, that is just one of the difficult things to comprehend, and just how many are occurring pre-snap. Now, we know hostile environment. There was that aspect to it in Seattle. Now, Seattle actually wasn't any better on their home field. They had 11 penalties, just the same, and for more yardage. But so it was just a sloppy game overall. But also on special teams having it happen. Anthony Walker leaving early on those kickoffs once each game so far. So it's not just a pre-snap on offense. It's also on special teams, Danny Crossman's unit. So it's a little bit across the board. So sort of comes down to just discipline overall. And I remember this being actually something that Brian Flores harped very much so. So this would be one of the positives of the previous coaching staff was, remember that TNT wall that takes no talent?
Yes.
That instilled some discipline in guys to make sure to stay on their keys and not commit these penalties. So something needs to be implemented to keep guys on track when it comes to avoiding penalties.
Now, I'm going to make an excuse for some of the guys and some of the mistakes you're seeing. Walker, how much did he practice?
Yeah, that's fair. Very little, yeah.
Okay. Ramsey, how much was he out there? Training camp, practice, preseason, all that. How much?
Very little. First week and a half, and then
Hoyer. He's looked pretty mediocre too. How much has he been out there? He's done a
yeah,
lot.
all these guys missed a lot of training camp. Yep.
Yeah, Holland missed some too.
Yep. Teron Armstead did.
Teron Armstead.
He barely practiced at all.
No. But Teron Armstead's different. Let me finish on this part here.
Sure.
Kendall Fuller, has he played with all these guys? Never. And so now all of a sudden you're talking about a bunch of guys, right, that didn't practice together, haven't really played together, now you've seen the mistakes they're making. You see they're a little bit off. You saw how DK got past Hall and all that kind of shit. I got to make an excuse for them. The fact that they did not play and practice together and form any kind of chemistry, that's a problem. And so that's what this whole month is now. It's almost like it takes NFL players a month and a half to kind of really get to know each other, get in shape, and kind of figure out a new scheme that's also being put in. All of this kind of stuff. The offensive side, I got no answers for that because there's a lot of continuity there and they continue to screw up. So I got no answers there. But on defense, I'm going to give Weaver and the boys a break here because there's a lot of things that really didn't go in their way for them to start off the blocks, cleaner than, let's say, the offense, which has a hell of a lot more continuity and yet couldn't start off sharp. You know what I'm saying? So on the defensive side, I'm going to give them some breaks here because there were a lot of changes and there were a lot of people that were out during the preseason.
Yeah, and this was the worry going back to training camp is this team getting enough practice reps, just whether it's an individual standpoint from all these guys missing time, being cautious with any minor injuries. Is it from a chemistry standpoint of not playing together? All these things. Now these guys are basically going through training camp now, the first 3-4 weeks of the season instead of being in almost midseason form. Maybe like for some teams that possibly worked harder and more together during training camp. So I know it's sort of like this new age way of thinking, but it's sort of rearing its ugly head now if you really look at it.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, man. I mean, it's just it's a screwed up situation. What are you expecting this week, dude? Like what? Because I don't know what the hell to expect. To be quite honest, no sun now.
I still have the Dolphins winning. I made the predictions in the Sun Sentinel that I have Dolphins 19, Titans 17. So it could be an ugly game, a little bit low scoring.
I'll take it.
You take it however you can right now. And maybe there's a defensive score. Will Levis, he gets a little loose with the football, and maybe there's a pick six.
How about a special team score? Danny Crossman does something.
Yeah. Something else to provide a boost. And if it is Tyler Huntley, which I believe it will be, then maybe he provides somewhat of a spark, but still has some hiccups along the way. It is his first start. He hasn't even been with the team 2 weeks, but is able to just find one or two big plays to Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, maybe make a play with his legs. Maybe he has a turnover himself, but also go into the run game, and then you know
what you got to hope for, Doggy? You know what you got to hope for that we've seen in Dolphin past? Okay, you spring the wildcat on somebody, and they don't know how to react, and then they have to adjust, and it takes them a while, and it's too late by then. When Dan Campbell took over as an interim coach, the first 2 weeks, I forgot the scores, but it was like combined, it was like 70-10 or some stupid shit. It was like, and then the wheels fell off after that. Just like the Wildcat, the wheels fell off. But you have the surprise element. And that's the one thing that maybe McDaniel and this kid Snoop, they may have that one surprise element that if he could get a couple of magical runs and a couple of magical throws or whatever and surprise them, and then your defense does, like you say, they pick it up and they do, because the defense did get better in the Seattle game. And I think that that's what you're going to see this defense. This defense is going to get better and better as the year goes on because guys will get in their groove and we will figure things out. So I'm hoping for that. I'm hoping for the element of surprise that we've seen in the past. You have that chance right now. And David, if they can't take advantage of the element of surprise, that'll be really depressing, dude.
Yeah, maybe I could maybe liken it to like that Thursday night game 2021 against the Ravens when you didn't know if Tua was going to play. He comes in the second half. There was a little bit of a surprise of how much he was able to actually throw the ball when Brian Flores didn't trust him to start him in that game, and then he goes and reels off like a 35 yarder to the sideline. Like, oh wait, okay, he was actually able to hurl it a little bit. So with that finger injury that he had
Oh,
that week.
you mean he's succeeding in spite of them again? Oh, okay. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
well, hey, I agree with you on that front on the first 2 years, um, but yeah. So maybe if there is some kind of like element to that, while they win an ugly game, keeping the score low, defense holds its own, and I mean, I actually like for the most part what we've seen from Anthony Weaver's defense.
Yeah.
Those middle quarters, holding it down against Seattle, keeping it where they still had a chance to get it to a one-score game, fourth and goal to
It's a
two
couple mistakes
early
here
in the
or
fourth.
there, bro. It's
Yeah,
not. Yeah.
the
Yeah.
DK Metcalf touchdown, of course. But yeah, even the Bills game, it was the turnovers giving Buffalo a short field more so than the defense itself. So I wouldn't put too much blame on them. And also Jacksonville, that win, shutting them down in the second half. They've been a good second half defense. So early on, that's kind of just been the thing is lock it down early on. I think you'll see pretty early if the Dolphins can hold down the Titans early, set the tone. Then I think they're cruising the rest of the way on defense.
Yeah, I think the defense will get better and better. This is a nice game for the defense to get really healthy. Levis likes to turn over the ball,
Yeah.
and I would imagine that Weaver's going to blitz him a lot more than the old fart did, because the old fart really put himself up for failure in that game. Because I think if he blitzes Levis, he forces him into a mistake. This is the game that I think, I hate to say it, but it's the defense that wins this game, not Mike McDaniel and his offense. I think it's Weaver and the boys that win this game. I'm picking the Dolphins too. I already bet them. I laid the 1 point already and everything. It's not so much that I'm counting on McDaniel, but I'm counting on the desperation of this team and these players. They know they have to have it.
Yeah, I actually tried to get that answer out of Anthony Weaver. I asked him, I know he wasn't here last year, but how much do you have to review that tape with some of the guys that were here? And I asked him what he would do differently than what was done.
Hey,
When they get, right, yeah. So he avoided that part of the question. Smart on his part. But yeah, he talked about exercising some demons for those guys that were here last year that had to experience that. So I think that will be on a lot of guys' minds.
Yeah, man. Hell yeah. So yeah, you got him winning. Hey, by the way, you see Tyreek and Keita are expecting another baby.
Oh, is that right?
Yep.
Well,
Uh-huh. Go
well,
ahead.
hold on. Well, isn't it she hasn't had the first one yet, though, right?
Is that what it is?
I think it's still the same one, right? Because
I don't know, because I just saw this article today. Let me pull it up to make sure. Maybe I screwed up here and that I didn't check the date. Let me see. This is September 26th. And it says Tyreek's wife Keita Vaccaro shows off baby bump in glamorous pregnant shoot.
oh yeah, but
They're welcome their first baby. That's it.
Right. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. She's still
What I
pregnant
mean is another, because he just
for Tyreek.
yes and another baby mama just recently had one. That's why I'm saying, or is having one or something like that. So yeah.
Yeah,
I don't know, what number is that now.
I lost track, and I mean I think there's different reports of how many it really is. So, but yeah, that's the thing is that you find out when one of these women come out, say they're pregnant with Tyreek Hill's baby, then that's a whole 9-month process, before then the baby's actually born, and then he's got to take care of them for 18 years at least, and hopefully he's there for their whole lives.
Broke.
But it's
so broke.
It's a lifelong commitment when these things happen.
Well, it's a lifelong commitment for some. Not everybody makes that lifelong commitment to their kids, bro. Some people don't even make the commitment for the first few years. They just some of them just
unfortunately.
Yeah, some of them are just they hit it and quit it right away. So but
at least it's something that'll follows you lifelong, because
yes.
now you are connected to all these women and then have to take care of all these babies, and how much someone does, but that varies.
You can't, it's hard, bro. I don't even want to think about doing that. It's enough as it is. All right. Any key injuries in this game that we should be worried about?
Oh yeah. All right. So now, concussion protocol. Obviously, Teron Armstead at left tackle, Kendall Fuller at cornerback. So to add on to how Tua is already, as we know, out, but David Long dealing with that hamstring injury, so he left the Seattle game, and maybe Anthony Weaver has to go with Anthony Walker again, along with Jordan Brooks in there, and he also mentioned Duke Riley as a possibility. And then after Kendall Fuller. So Storm Duck was the first one up in nickel packages to go with Jalen Ramsey and Kader Kohu. So, and he's also dealing with his shoulder injury. He was able to go back into that game. It was Saran Neal when Duck was out, and Saran Neal is also dealing with a hamstring right now. He's a key special team player, great gunner. So now maybe they get Raheem Mostert back this week. I know last week that was sort of the track after he was doubtful. So maybe that provides a little boost, takes some of the burden off of Devon Achane in the run game. But a lot of things to monitor going into these next couple of days.
All right, what do you got going on the Sentinel so folks can check you out, my friend?
Yeah, I'm covering the quarterbacks for sure. This whole situation, we spoke to Darrell Bevel, quarterbacks coach today, and also offensive coordinator Frank Smith. I actually asked him about the streamlining communication and maybe more of a Mike McDaniel question, but just getting some perspective from someone inside the coaching staff on that whole aspect when it comes to dealing with backup quarterbacks in the game, and then also gonna just write a bunch of different news and notes from conversations with Anthony Weaver, Danny Crossman, defensive line coach Austin Clark. So, and then I'll be previewing the Monday night game, of course.
All right, folks, if you're dealing with any weather issues, your home, your condo, any water damage, wind damage, please call Welt Rheaume. They have their own adjusters. They will go to your home, your business, and then they will address the insurance company. You'll never have to deal with the insurance company. You'll just pick up a check at Welt Rheaume, 954-966-4646. Do what a lot of our listeners have done now over the last 3 years as they've been a sponsor of ours. Call them 954-966-4646. David, we will talk on Monday night, my friend. You be good out there.
Yes, sir. You too.
Thank you. There you go. David Furones with our Welt Rheaume Miami Dolphins report.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.